have asked who Anouska was a year ago, I would not have had a clue. But I'm resilient, I'm a survivor, I ain't a victim no more.
Resilience Rising podcast.
Hi, my name's Anouska and welcome to my first podcast, Resilience Rising. My special guest is Ross Thompson. Would you like to say
Anouska.
hi, Ross?
Hi everyone, and hello Anouska, and thank you for inviting me onto the podcast today.
Thank you for coming. It's a pleasure having you on. As we know, we first met through social media, excuse me, and I was very interested is in you as a person, and I would like to know more in depth about how you work, how you operate, and you know what is going on for you.
Yeah. So obviously the reason why you've brought me on was because I'm neurodivergent, weren't it?
Yeah. So we want to educate ourselves and other people on what neurodivergent means.
So I'm neurodivergent because I'm epileptic. I got diagnosed at the age of 17. So I had quite a few seizures before my diagnosis and everything. So I have like grand mal seizures, they're called. And basically a grand mal seizure is where my eyes roll into the back of my head, my hands like clam up and everything, my whole body goes tight, my lips turn blue, and I black out. I don't remember anything. So I can remember from about to fit in and then fitting out, I don't remember anything, and then waking up. So I can just, it's just like, like when you're drunk, and you're a bit ooh, and like that's what it feels like at first. It feels like a drunk sensation, but you're not drunk at the same time. It's like a sober drunk feeling when you're about to black out, and that's what it feels like. So yeah, it's not really a nice thing to live with. I manage with it and I cope with it. I'm on medication as well for it. But yeah, it's changed my life a lot, I'd say.
That's it. Before we dive deeper into it, my two things I can relate to, excuse me, as far as epilepsy goes, I've never experienced anything like that. But I've seen 3 occasions where one time I was on a school bus and a lad had a fit on the bus and he was like you said, his lips had gone blue, he'd stiffened up, he was shaking around a little bit. But there was a lot of people, it was on the school bus and a lot of people was looking over him. So instantly when he come out of it, he jumped up and was very aggressive towards me.
Yeah.
And then our babysitter, I remember she used to have fits, but it was almost like she wouldn't hit the floor. She would follow us around, like almost like zombified.
Mm.
And it wasn't scary because we knew her as a person, but we didn't have an understanding of what was going on or why or anything about epilepsy at this point. I was young. I didn't really know much about it. And then my sister, I don't know if it was seizures or epilepsy, we'll get into the differences or the similarities. But she used to just literally collapse and fall backwards and would bang her head off walls, literally.
Yeah, that's
so dangerous.
That's similar to what I do. So like obviously when I black out, I lose control of my body. I know other people who are epileptic as well. Obviously you lose control of your body, so you can end up weeing yourself, shitting yourself basically, because you lose control of your body. I don't think I've ever pissed my pants, to be honest with you. I've never woke up like wet or anything.
I have, and I don't have epilepsy.
Yeah. But I've never wet myself from an epilepsy, but I've had some really scary encounters, and yeah, it's awful, and I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's so difficult to navigate life with that itself. It's really because I think there's a bit of embarrassment towards it, and being not in control of your body, not knowing when they're going to come, even though you'll get that sometimes that sense of feeling like you explained.
Yeah.
That, you know, sometimes you just know when one's coming suddenly. I've noticed with people, they can just randomly hit them all at once. So how do you live with that day to day? What's a day in Ross's life like with living with epilepsy?
So in my life, it's more structured and a routine. If I go out of structure or out of routine, it can bring them on. So like, I have to have a regular sleeping pattern. I have to eat regular as well. You know, I know people can go with like a day or two without eating. But if I don't eat properly and if I'm not sleeping properly and I'm under a lot of stress, that is a big red flag for me. That's a big no-go because I can start fitting out then. It may not be straight away. It may be like a build-up, and I can feel my body slowly getting tired and deteriorating inside. I'm just like more, how can I say it? I'm not with it as much, you know. Obviously, I'm sat here talking to you. I can engage a conversation, but when I'm doing the things I'm not supposed to do, then I'm more like spaced out, you know. It's like, you know, someone who's on drugs.
So if your mind's not occupied.
Yeah. So like, if my mind's not occupied, I'm like, I'm not here as well. But that's like another seizure as well. So I have 3 different seizures. So I have absent seizures where I can be sat here talking to you right now, and I could just be staring out that window. That's one seizure. Another one is I have body twinges. And so I could be sat here with my brew, and then next week, I could just do that and shake it, and that's quite embarrassing myself personally, because obviously if I'm out with someone who doesn't know me personally, you know, like for example, I'm on a date and they see that, and then I feel awkward and embarrassed, and then I have to explain myself, you know, like, sorry about that, I'm epileptic and everything, and it's just awkward, and then I feel like, oh well, you know,
You've got a label.
Yeah, and then like, you know, when I first got diagnosed with it and everything, and like meeting people, I was a bit nervous as well, because, you know, with my body twinges and everything, if people are like, oh, what's wrong with him? Do you know what I mean? And it's just like I can't be arsed explaining myself all the time. And then as I got older and everything, I was like, I didn't let it define me.
Yeah,
I own
love that.
I own my epilepsy. Like, it doesn't own me. Do you know what I mean? So
absolutely, I love it.
and it's like, I'm not afraid to be like, you know what, I've got epilepsy. So what?
Yeah,
It's either you like it or you lump it. You know what I mean? If you don't like me for me, then
I can relate to that. But most importantly, it has to be said.
Yeah.
You know, it's a when you meet somebody, you got to make them aware.
Yeah,
Full stop.
100%.
Because is it like the dangerous tongue, where you've got to watch the tongue from swallowing the tongue and stuff like that. So I think it's always, but it's not ideal for us to start a conversation with, this is what's up. You know,
Yeah.
this is what's wrong. It's not a meeting point. It's not a new start like thingy, but it's a must that we talk about it. And, you know, people need to know how to react if you do go into a fit or a seizure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's massively important. It was one thing you said to me as well when we first met about having epilepsy, and I respected you for that. I had a lot of respect, you know, because I have a lot of ill health and issues, you know, with drug abuse, being polio and cancer and just life itself. But like you, I don't let it determine me, and that's not me. I'm not Anouska who's got kidney disease. I'm just Anouska pushing through life with struggles like everybody else, and I'm sure that it's relatable to what you're saying.
Yeah.
So how does your mind work? Does your mind go over time?
Oh, my mind is like, I'm 100 miles an hour. Like, I'm still waiting to be diagnosed for ADHD, because I think I've got underlying, you know, I've sat with people who have got, you know, ADHD, and they're like, you're riddled with it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I could get up in the morning at like 7 o'clock in the morning, like, boom, straight away, music on,
Yeah.
and I'm like, like, have a little rave to myself. Like, obviously, my friend who's brought us down today, she's like, how the fuck are you so hyperactive in the morning? Yeah.
When most
And
people
like,
aren't morning people.
yeah, as soon as my eyes are open, my brain's on, and I'm like, right, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, I've got to do this, got to do that.
So
And
quite hyper.
yeah, and it's annoying at times as well, because when I want to switch off at night, I can't switch off, and I'm struggling to switch off, and I've just been newly medicated with some medication as well. So I went to my neurologist in Salford, because that's where I've got to go, because it's like that's the
The specialised.
yeah. So obviously I spoke to my neurologist, told him a few problems that I'm having, and it was like, right, okay, we're gonna up your dosage, and you need to take this certain medication at night, and it'll boost your nighttime epilepsy medication up as well. So I was like, right, okay, and then like as I've been taking it, I've noticed a difference as well, because as soon as I take it, within like half an hour, 45 minutes, I start to feel drowsy, and I'm like, I don't want to play my game.
Yeah.
But
so you're going like into a state of sleep.
yeah. So like I just want to relax then. So I'm like, right, I need to. So mostly I've been playing on my Xbox at night quite a lot. Obviously, it's flashing lights because I play a lot of shooting games. So obviously that's not good for your mind as well. And recently I've been thinking like, well, I need to have a bit of wind down time, before going to bed.
Yeah.
So I'll probably like stick a film on or like a series on. I've been watching like, have you seen like Man Like Mobeen?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
what you're saying is routine is key.
Yeah. So obviously I'm trying to get myself into a better routine to better myself, to, better
manage it better.
Yeah, to manage my epilepsy more.
Wonderful. That's really good news. And like we were speaking about before, like sometimes without neurodiversity, sorry, our pronunciation is not great. People can't just switch off anyway, so there is methods that we need to be doing, because sometimes your head feels like, when you see that advert where the head opens and there's 100 and things,
Yeah.
as we were speaking about in the car, where your head seems like you've got about 100 and odd tabs open at one time and you're trying to balance them all. It can be very overwhelming and draining.
Yeah.
Do you find that you struggle with that exhaustion from it?
Yeah, like really, really bad. Like I can be on a high for so many days. It could be so many weeks. It could be months, maybe a year even. Like I'm on this high for a long, long time, and then all of a sudden I'll just go, and then I'll just plummet, and then it kicks in with my mental health as well, because I struggle with my mental health. So I struggle with like intrusive thoughts as well. So on Saturday, I just woke up from a nap, and I was at my mum's, and I was looking after my son, and then I was just leaning against the gate, and I was just started crying. I was like, I just don't want to be here no more. Like in my head, I got that deep in my head. I was like, not like I didn't want to go and hurt myself, but I just felt like I didn't want to exist anymore. I felt a bit selfish, because I could see my son being happy down the road, and I should have been happy that my son's happy. Do you know what I mean? He's out on his bike, made some new friends and everything, and I'm so happy for my son and everything. And I'm there, and I'm
questioning why you weren't feeling the same.
Yeah, and it's so annoying, because I could be in a room full of 1,000 people, and I can still feel so low when I get in my own head, and it's so irritating.
No, I can relate to that. It's a lonely place to be as well. I've had intrusive thoughts, not where I would act upon it like yourself. And from what I've gathered from meeting you, Ross, excuse me, is that you're very sociable, very busy, always doing stuff technically and stuff like that, So for you to be such I'm a happy-go-lucky guy, to that just hitting you out the blue, just excuse me, so sorry, just shows you how intrusive thoughts can be.
Yeah.
And that's a scary world to be in.
It is, yeah.
You did mention to me that you'd been able to talk to your mum and let you look after your son and stuff. And I think that takes some doing, because I see how excited you get about having your son,
Yeah.
and you don't want to be feeling like that when you've got him.
No.
But you can't escape intrusive thoughts. It's getting the tools to learn to kind of counteract it, but it's not as easy as it sounds.
No, it's not, and it's hard as well because, like, obviously, I co-parent. Sorry, I co-parent as well, really well with his mum, and I said to her, like, look, you're gonna have to text my mum on Sunday because she was asking how he is. So I said, look, you need to text my mum. I'm not with him. Is everything all right? Is he all right? So I said, yeah, he's all right, but I'm struggling. So she's like, what's wrong? And I was like, I just don't want to talk about it,
Yeah.
But I've got a really good support network around me. Obviously, like I spoke to you as well. You was like, you can text me, phone me whenever.
Absolutely.
I've got my friend who's outside currently, working away. So she's a good support network as well. So like I said to her, like I'm struggling. She was like, I'll be down. You know what I mean? She's a 4-hour drive.
That's beautiful. That's a true friend. That's the kind of people you want around you.
Yeah, so she's like, all right, my bag's packed, car's set, got fuel in car, I'm on my way.
Oh, brilliant.
You know what I mean?
Well, I'm glad you had someone to reach out to, because not everybody has that somebody, you
No,
know.
no.
Or sometimes we feel like it's a burden to ring that somebody when we
Yeah.
feel like that. But please, audience, it's never a burden. If it means having a conversation, we're more than happy to. Well, certainly I am, and what I've gathered from Rossi is the same. Rather than you struggle in your head on your own, once you have broke that stigma and spoke to somebody, it might sound easier than said than done. But the closest person to you, or even someone who just give you the phone number and said, ring me, or my inbox is open, literally take them up on that, because when people do that with me, I'm honoured. Like, I'm really honoured for people to inbox me. I've got all the time in the world for people who struggle, because I've been that girl. And like Ross said before, I can sit amongst people and feel so lonely because I'm in my own head. So yeah, back to intrusive thoughts. So do you have a feeling like of hopelessness, being useful and stuff like that, or is it just the suicide of not wanting to be here, not actually trying suicide, but the thought of not being here?
Well, I've attempted suicide in the past. I've attempted to take my own life like 3 times.
Have
in
you?
in the past. So I put a knife to my throat, and
Jesus.
I embedded the knife a little bit and made my neck bleed. Not severe, like it leaves a scar or anything. Do you know, like when you just
Yeah.
like pierce it a little bit. So yeah, that was when I was living in my hostel. In Ashton, I was living in Greystones. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
No, I've heard you talk about it
Yeah,
before,
so
though.
I was living in there, and I got in a really dark place. And my mental health was declining rapidly. And luckily, I had a friend at the time. She knew about how to sort of like get you out of that sort of mind frame and everything. And I
Yeah.
was on the phone crying to her, and I was like, I don't want to live. And she was like, what are you doing? So I was like, I'm sat in my room. She was like, have you got anything that you shouldn't have? I said, yeah. She went, what? I went, I've got a knife. She went, where is it? I went, it's against my throat right now. And I'm ready to slice my throat open in my room. She was like, don't do it. She was like, think of all the good things. I was like, I've got nothing good going for me. She was like, what about your son? I was like, it's fine. He's got his mum. He's got his gran. And she was like, but he needs a dad. And that kind of made me stop what I was doing. But she knows a lot of the stuff because I go to a men's mental health group called Andy's Man Club.
Oh yeah, I've heard about it. It
Yeah.
sounds really good.
Yeah, they're really fantastic. And guys, if you are watching, I'd highly recommend trying to find a local Andy's Man Club, or AMC for short. But yeah.
Yeah, big up.
Yeah, I was going to them as well, and that helps me out massively. But yeah, so she stopped me by using techniques from AMC. And then another time, I text my mum, my kid's mum, and a few other people, and I sent a few people voice notes. I said, listen, make sure you save this voice note because this is the last time you're going to hear my voice because I'm going to go on a bridge and I'm going to jump off.
God, that's so scary.
Because so where I lived, there was there's a train bridge, and every time I walked past it, I would just thought to myself, just jump off it. No one's going to know you're gone. Do you know what I mean?
I don't agree with no one would know you're gone, but that's the way you feel at
So
the time.
that at the time, that's what I was feeling as well. So I texted my mum, and my mum phoned me. She was like, "Where are you?" I said, "I'm at home." I said, "I'm just about to go out now." So she's like, "You fucking stay in that room now. I'm coming for you now."
Yeah, it's some sort of like she knew.
So
some sort
obviously,
of higher power.
No, well, it was because I texted her saying that I'm
okay.
gonna kill myself basically. Sorry, and so texted her that, and we went to a McDonald's, and I just blurted everything out to my mum. Spoke about a lot of things. Some things that I didn't speak to her about, and I'm quite open about it. So I used to live in, I was living in Mosley at one point.
Yeah, nice area.
Because I was going through a bit of a rough time at my mum and dad's. And this guy who I met through a course, he was like, "Oh, you can come live with me, blah, blah, blah." So I was like, "Sweet, nice one." He'd cook for me and everything. And I was like, "Oh, he's a sound guy, he's a sound bloke and everything." And then I was in bed and I felt my boxers move. And I was like, the fuck's going on? The guy tried to rape me in my sleep.
Wow.
And I never really spoke about it to anyone.
When they say something that's normally too good to be true, it's
Yeah,
always the case.
I froze and I was like, I didn't know what to do.
Of course.
But like when you tell people like, "Oh, a guy nearly raped me," and then people are like, "Oh, well, you should have just turned around and fucking levered him." It's like it's not that easy. It's not that easy because when you're in that like moment and everything, your body goes into shock and everything, and I can relate to a lot of women when they say like, "Oh, my body froze." I'm like, and I've said it in the past.
It happened to me, and I did exactly the same. It didn't get to that point, but I froze. I didn't know. I can fight back, but I just couldn't.
He put his penis between my ass cheeks, and that's as far as it went. Didn't penetrate me or anything, but like, luckily I woke up in time, and I was half asleep, and I was like, "What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Get the fuck off me now, you little dickhead, before I fucking end your life."
It's a fight or flight thing, isn't it? You're literally, because not to make it about me, but I can relate to that because I'd gone back to someone's house. He had a house party, and I were going to work at the detox centre the next day. So I were clean, I weren't drinking, but something had been put in my drink, and I've got this jumper dress on, and this young girl, it were her birthday, and she were his friend. And I'm like, invite her, don't like leave her on her own. She's 19 or whatever. And I wakes up, I fell asleep, but I went to go to sleep on his settee and he put my legs over him. So I got on the floor and put a rug over, like a over me. And the next minute I woke up and this young girl screaming at him, but there's loads of voice notes and the police and the ambulance have turned up. He's done a runner. And she said he kept trying to go, you dressed now. I didn't want to hear these voice notes. I didn't want to know anymore, because I was literally out of it. I didn't feel nothing or anything like that. But nothing crazy happened thanks to this girl being there. Or I don't know what would have happened. But yeah, I can totally relate to the frozen moment. And to get back to you, sorry to take you off track there.
No, it's fine.
But yeah, I can totally relate to that. People can, it's easy, be it girl on girl, man on man, girl, female on male, it doesn't matter. You have, your natural instincts is to freeze. It's just to freeze. It's like if you've got a child and they're going near the road, you freeze first and then you shout later.
Yeah.
At a panic. And I can totally relate to that. And I don't agree with people saying, why don't you fight back? I really don't. And unless you get to a point you can, but at first your head's not comprehending what the hell is going on.
That's it, yeah.
So that must have been very scary. So that was another time you wanted to take your life.
So that came up in a conversation with my mum, obviously, when I said about wanting to jump off the bridge.
Right, oh yeah, sorry, yeah.
So she was like, "Why don't you want to be here?" I was like, saying that, you know, my dad doesn't love me. So basically, my dad who I'm with now, who my mum's with now, is not my biological father. So when I was 2, my real dad tried to kill me and my mum. So we had to
Jesus.
flee from Scotland. And then we end up moving to South Africa. From South Africa, we moved to Manchester.
Flipping out.
So yeah, and then was in Oldham for a bit, and then moved to Ashton, and then that's when my mum met my dad. Now, you know, top bloke and everything, but me and him don't really see eye to eye. Sometimes, you know, we have our differences.
Yeah.
So like shit's happened between us two. So I've had to like go back and forth, you know, moving in and out and everything. Hence how I ended up in Mosley. So I was like, so obviously, like when I said to my mum that I'm gonna kill myself, you know, I blurted everything out. I was like, you know, I feel like I'm not wanted.
Yeah.
I feel
Where
like
does Ross fit in?
I'm just like black sheep of the family. You know, I don't fit into our family. You know, because obviously, like with my dad, I took on his name. I said I don't feel like a true Thompson because, you know, it's, you know, I'm not his blood.
That's a good insight, and that's an horrible feeling for you to feel like you don't belong somewhere.
Yeah,
But for me, I hope this helps other people as well as you, Ross. But for me, that's given me an insight into how my children must feel. You know, not biologically my partner's
yeah,
children, but he took them on. So it's nice to get it from both angles, you know, from your point of view and then his in the future.
yeah,
So that's good. But there's nothing worse than, like, I don't know really anything about my dad's family. He committed suicide, and I want to ask questions about this in a sec. So I don't really know anything about him. My mum's got nothing good to say about him, although she left Northern Ireland to move to England and they married. So I always felt like there were a piece of me missing. Do you feel similar to that?
Well, yeah, because like obviously, as much as I hate my real dad and I've got a lot of rage against him, I'd still like to meet him and be like,
A lot of questions.
questions are like, why did you do what you did? Like, do you know what I mean? Because my mum told me a lot of stuff. Like, you'll remember this. So like, obviously, when you had a kid, you know, you used to get milk tokens, didn't you?
Yeah.
And then you could go exchange it.
Yeah.
So it was still my mum's milk tokens
Yeah, to go
just
to
to
a
feed
dodgy
me.
shop.
Yeah. So and he'll trade it in for fags.
Oh, God.
So that's what he used to do. He'd
Yeah.
trade it. So it'd steal off us and everything.
Just
And
literally taking food out your mouth.
yeah, and he used to put like, so he used to smoke a lot as well, and he used to put fag dimps out. He used to put the fag dimps out on the quilt that my mum and dad that, you know, that him and my mum would sleep in.
Behaviour.
And it's just like, why would you why would you do that? Do you know what I mean? But he was heavy onto drugs as well, so he started on the weed, and he got progressively heavier and heavier and heavier. I don't know what drugs, the heaviest drugs he got into, but I knew from what my mum said, he was smoking a lot of weed, and then so yeah, obviously he got the paranoia and everything from it, and it's just
Do you think you were falling asleep with these cigarettes in the bed?
no, I think he did it.
Purposely.
I don't. Obviously, I was only a baby. Do you know what
Yeah.
I mean? I couldn't be like, oh, what are you doing?
That's what makes me ask the question, because sometimes it could be out of drowsiness. you
Yeah.
know, or sometimes, you know, like a different perspective from the stories and the narratives we have are not always exactly the way they are. It's just the way we viewed it or the way our minds understood it and stuff like that. About suicide, this is the question I ask, because my dad committed suicide and unfortunately me and my mum found him. So, and we'll go back to ours in a minute. Me and my mum found him, and because she'd moved from Northern Ireland to England and they were in a relationship, they're married, they've got 2 kids, 2 girls, I have a sister. And she come and pick me up from nursery. Now, this is my first ever memory of being young. And then we've got photographs. The only photographs we've got of when my Uncle David visited my dad's brother, and he'd brought a camera, and them are the only photos I have as a child. But my sister used to eat the corners of them, which was weird. I don't know why. I'll ask her, but I don't know. I think I'll ever get a straight answer. Anyway, so yeah, she comes pick me up from nursery, and we had the little windows that you open, so you get your little windows and then your big ones further down. And my mum had to jump through this little window. and she let me in. And as we've got up to the top of the stairs, my dad was hanging from the loft. And I didn't actually see his face because I was in between my mum's legs on the stairs. And I just remember seeing his legs hanging, and then my mum running out the house and then dropping me off at a neighbour. And I remember because we used to get fizzy popping like for 12p in bottles, then it went to plastic. Yes, I'm showing my age. And stuff like that. And I think a lot of fingers got pointed because there's only them two in the relationship. There's only one alive.
Yeah.
So I always questioned, I was always angry growing up, but I always questioned, is suicide a coward's way out, or does it take someone brave to take themselves out? You know, and I'm on the fence with both of that. I grew up angry and thought it was a coward's way. And then when I started suffering with mental health myself, a couple of times I cried for help. I'd throw texts out to my partner at the time. I would throw texts out. And then one time I literally wrote letters. I'd stayed up. I was facing jail. I'd been on a binge, so I was on a massive come down. And I wrote all the letters for the kids and my ex-partner at the time, and his letter weren't right nice. So I'm glad, excuse me, I'm glad nothing happened because I would have left him with a shitty taste in his mouth, and that wasn't fair. But this time I particularly meant it, and I took all my antidepressants, every bit of tablets I could find. I took about 6 paracetamol, which now sounds embarrassing. Loads of citalopram, anything I could get my hands on, really. And I was in court this particular morning at Ashton Magistrates Court. Jesus, get it out. And I was really scared, but also needing jail at the same time. And I just thought, I can't go to jail, I'm on a come down. I can't go to court, I'm on a come down. So I took those tablets, and my eldest daughter, excuse me, was at the side of me witnessing all this, and I had to be resuscitated. And I died on the table and had to be brought back, and she had to witness all that. And I've never ever been that low. I'd lost my kids for 2 or 3 months. I'd asked my partner to come and take them before they went into the system, and I just couldn't live without them. Then I was determined never to go down that road again. So what stopped you?
What, from taking my life?
Yeah.
My son. 100%. Like, I always say, if my son wasn't here, I probably would have done it. And
do you know what? That's to be admired, because it's hard to be around when you don't feel like you fit in, or you feel useless, hopeless, and a lot of that. And it's really tough as a parent to be selfish and want to take yourself out of this world, but also be selfless in keeping yourself present for your kids. And I admire that so much, Ross.
Well, it's because, like, you know, I grew up without my real dad, you know what I mean? And, you know, obviously I've got my dad who I've got now, and I am really grateful for him. You know, he's done a hell of a lot, you know. And even though we've got a funny relationship, really, we've got a bit of a love-hate relationship, we're like fucking Tom and Jerry. Shit, you know, honestly, we are. That's what we're like.
Yeah.
But, you know, I know for a fact, if I needed it, and I really, really, really needed it, like, my dad would be there for me. But like I said, it's just a weird relationship, and I've always wanted to know my real dad, and like just ask him questions, and you know, and I think it would hurt me knowing the fact that Grayson's got a new dad, my son.
Yeah.
And you know, obviously, I talk about, like, going off track a little bit. You know, kids got obviously kids' mum. You know, she's single. She can do whatever. You know, she meets a new guy and everything. I've always said, you know, I'm not really bothered if they introduce each other to my son and everything. But as soon as he tries to play father figure to my son, I'll kick off big time, because he is not his dad. I'm his dad at the end of the day. If he tries to chastise him, if he tries to lay a finger on him,
no, I agree.
I totally, I think it's disrespectful and rude to try and do that sort of stuff. So
100%. You can play a part, but
yeah,
you
you can
can't
play a
play your
part,
part.
but you can't play my part because
Exactly.
I'm his dad. I'm present.
Yeah,
Fine, fair enough. If I was like, if he took me on life,
yeah.
then
You'd like him to be in good hands.
I, I,
The next
but
best
but I
thing.
know for a fact his mum isn't one of these, dickhead mums and everything. She's not
Yeah.
all for herself. You know what I mean? She goes above and beyond for our son and her.
Yeah,
I
very
love her for
selfless.
it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't have that love for her that I did do when we was together. That's long sailed that ship and everything. But I love her
Yeah.
for taking care of our son and everything because she does a hell of a lot.
100%. And you can co-parent, which is a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
There's
well,
not a lot of people who
we're really good friends now. Do you know what I mean? But obviously, like going back to what you said, obviously, I wouldn't want my son to be without a dad.
Yeah, 100%, because you know what that feeling's like all too
Yeah,
well.
and do you know what I mean? I was like, I didn't really have a father figure until I was like 7, 8 years old, and like my memories of like my dad now, I don't really remember much. Do you know what I mean? And Mum was like, "Do you not remember this? You not remember that?" I'm like, "No, I don't really have many good memories with my dad, and
Yeah.
that's a bit, a bit disheartening. I've got a few bad memories, but not really good ones. But
It's a shame.
it does a hell of a lot for my son. He built a bed from
Oh, did it?
scratch. Yeah, so I got all this wood from work, built him a bed
So
out of scratch.
are you grateful for that? Like, the fact that your son has a good grandparent, a granddad.
Yeah, like I'm grateful for that. Can be a bit of a moody bastard sometimes, my dad, but
Yeah, my mum picks
is
and chooses when she wants to see because I suppose that's the blessing of being a grandparent. But
Yeah.
It's when I needed the help the most. Someone to rely on or someone to lean on, as like to better myself and stuff like that. She would pick and choose, which is her choice. But I kind of think you're a parent forever.
Mm-hmm.
Mine are almost grown now, and it just doesn't stop. You just don't shut the front door and it's game over because they're over 18 or whatever, even though I've got one under 18. But it's just a never-ending job, and I have to be emotionally, physically and mentally available for these children, no matter what goes wrong in life. Like, you move out and your mum says the door's always open.
What
It's
my dad
mostly
said.
mums that
Yeah.
say that. No disrespect to dads that do that. Big up to dads that do that. And like yourself, Ross, big up to lads that want to be part of the kid's life, because I know a lot of people that just don't bother with the children.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a beautiful thing. A man really, I love, when you see a man walking down the street and he's got his kids and he's off somewhere. I think it's the most beautiful thing ever. Especially not growing up with a male influence in my life as well. There was none.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that even my mum getting a boyfriend, it was like, what's going on? It was foreign, and I didn't like it. I was quite really close with my mum growing up, and it was just weird, and I didn't want these people to be a father figure to me. I'd not got used to it. It's quite. When I had a boy as a son, it was weird. That itself was weird because we'd just been female orientated all our lives, and I kind of thought I broke the mold by having a son and wasn't repeating history, because I felt like I was turning into my mum. It was crazy. So yeah, full my hats off to you, for being part of your son's life and co-parenting very well. Big up to Grayson's mum.
Okay.
I think you're doing well with it. So what is there any like studies or anything you can do, like, is people looking into your brain, going back to your epilepsy and stuff?
Not really. No, not that I'm aware of. Like, um, not much as study wise. No, because obviously they've got the doctors for that sort of stuff, haven't they? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's just I always see clinical trials, and I used to do them years ago.
Yeah, I don't
Just for the
think
money.
I don't think there's anything there clinical trial wise for people who suffer with epilepsy or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? And I think it would be quite interesting to do a clinical trial
Oh yeah,
because
and understand your brain.
I'd love to do that because I'd love to understand how my brain works more because like, you know, when I was younger, I struggled a lot and I still struggle now with things, but I try and play it off more. I play it off as like, you know, oh, just me acting stupid. But when actual fact it's just who I actually am. And it's like, well, I don't really want to own up to that. Do you know what I mean? Because I feel like I feel more bit weaker, and you know,
As if you're complicated.
yeah,
I think it's ignorance sometimes. Just some people are not educated enough on it, and this is what we're here to do.
yeah,
Is talk about this sort of thing. You know,
definitely,
we'll cover it more as we do more podcasts and stuff. And
yeah,
I'm so intrigued to learn about it. You know, because this you've got kids, you've got to protect yourself in every which way as a parent. You know, and it makes you understand people more, and I think that's what life's about.
yeah,
You
most
know, we're
definitely,
not just fitted by a label or a mould. We are people who suffer from, you know, mental health, ADHD, autism. There's always something going on for somebody. You know, I know I've struggled a lot with mental health, and it was shamed and frowned upon growing up. I remember my mum always saying, "I'm not taking nerve tablets," and I used to think, "What's she on about?"
yeah.
You know, and now I realise she was talking about mental health, but back then it's so talked about these days as it wasn't years ago. And I just think it's a beautiful thing, you know, but there's more help for males, more males are speaking out, which is beautiful.
Yeah,
I think a grown man shows his feelings and cries and shows vulnerability. I think that's very attractive as a male. Not that you want them sad or anything, but it's such the human at the same time, you know. And I respect people who are open and honest about the feelings. Some men might struggle with that and come to a point where they can do it in time or they not can't do it. You know,
it's hard to open up as a male as well. Do you know what I mean? Because there is that stigma to say like, you know, you're the male, you've got to be strong. You know what I mean? You've got to be the alpha. You've got to be the leader. You've got to do this. You've got to do that. You've got to provide. You know, you've got to bring the top wage in. You know
yeah,
what I
the
mean?
breadwinner,
You've got
yeah.
if something like goes wrong in the house, you've got to fix it. If the car breaks down, you've got to fix it. You know, there's all that stigma, and it's just like it shouldn't have to be that way in life. Do you know what I mean? Like because not all males know how to, you know, do certain things, and it's so irritating as well to say like, oh, you know, well, why can't you do that? You're a male. You know what I mean? It's just like, well, because I can't. Maybe I can't do that thing, but I'm more skilled in that. In
Yeah.
that, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think someone in touch with the feelings and can talk about it makes them more male than anyone that works out in a gym, for sure. And I find it really attractive. Not that I'm looking at it like that, but I find it endearing, should I say, that's a better word. Endearing when a male is open and honest about his feelings. You know, it's not all about the heavy lifting and a male should be doing this and a male should be doing that. I think a relationship is a partnership and it's a team effort, you know. And I used to think I was more masculine than feminine, you know, and I could wallpaper, I could move wardrobes, I could do this, I could do that, and like, I don't need no man. But no, I think, you know, if you get to a point where you can be a powerhouse if you work as a team,
That's
be
it.
with friendships, partnerships, families, you know, it doesn't really matter. I think we have an understanding that me and Ross just say how we're feeling if we're not feeling it one day, or we get how each other's starting to work now. And I think it's a beautiful thing. I'm learning so much from this podcast and just like speaking to you and getting to know you, Ross. And I really do admire you as a person. I wouldn't be sat here, wouldn't be sat here working together if we didn't like each other. And I think I'm so happy you was my first guest. I really
Thank
am.
you.
And I'm excited to learn more about each other.
I believe we've got another guest coming up soon as well.
Yes,
A female guest.
Yes,
May we add?
with a funky accent. We're getting a lovely accent, don't get me wrong. But yeah, I hope this helps people. You know, we've gone into it. I did have some questions, but what I want to do with this podcast is I want to be authentic. I don't want to be rehearsed. So if we've gone off track or off key, I hope we've answered some questions. If you've got anything you would like to ask, put comments underneath when this goes on, and we'll be sure to answer them. Thank you, Ross. I have really appreciated this conversation. I love getting to know you more and more. You're a very complex person, but there's nothing wrong with that. I like complex. I like unusual. You know, I like to call us misfits.
Curiosity killed the cat.
I love it. Yeah. Well, I don't want to be killed. I've survived 3 times. I'm not going nowhere. I'm here for a reason.
We're both survivors.
Yeah. Should we start singing Destiny's Child?
I'm a survivor.
Yeah, no, listen, honestly, high five, mate. Loved it. Thank you very much. And thank you. Please like, subscribe, and share my podcast if you enjoy what you see. We've got great guests, as well as having Ross, a great guest on too, and a 2-part of this today. We're having 2 guests. So she will be on soon. Like and subscribe, and please share. Much appreciated. Very much appreciated indeed. Peace. If I'd asked you who Anouska was a year ago, I would not have had a clue. But I'm resilient. I'm a survivor. I ain't a victim no more.
Resilience Rising Podcast.